Hi friends, so today we are going to be doing a little bit of a read aloud and then a little bit of a practice with using fluency as we read. So we've got a couple of elements that we're going to talk about in the story that I'm going to share with you. So one element that we're going to talk about is the fact that this is a nonfiction book. It's called Engineers Build Models. And in this particular book, I chose it because it has quite a few of the science ideas that we're talking about. It talks about matter a little bit, it talks about properties as well. I'm also going to point out some of the text features as we go through the story. Now, because I'm trying to focus on fluency, I'm not going to pause to read all of the captions, but I will point them out to you at the very beginning, and then we'll continue to kind of flow through the book. What I'm going to have you to do to practice is I'm going to take a couple pages, especially the ones that we're talking about in science. I'm going to put a couple pages into Seesaw for you to practice reading aloud to me. And again, our focus on fluency is to make sure that we're reading the words correctly and also smoothly. So you're going to hear as I read, I'm going through at a comfortable pace. I don't want to stop too much in between my words, and I also don't want to rush through them. Okay, so I'm going to do kind of in the middle, you'll hear as I read to you. Okay, so the title, as I mentioned, is Engineers Build Models. Let's begin. As you can see, as we talked about, we have our table of contents because this is a nonfiction book. So this table of contents tells us a little bit about the topics of our book and what pages we would be able to find them on. And again, this is a classic feature of nonfiction. We'll usually find that in those types of books. So the first topic is who designs our world? Have you ever looked up at a skyscraper or down at your running shoes and wondered how these things were made? They were first created by engineers. Engineers are the people who design many of the things in our world. To design means to make a plan to do or build something that solves a problem. And as you can see, we have pictures, photographs, and our captions here, as I mentioned. Engineers design technologies. The things engineers design are called technologies. A technology is anything people make that solves a problem or meets a need. For example, a car is a technology that meets people's need to get from place to place quickly. Technologies take time. Engineers have important jobs. They use math, science, and creative thinking to design technologies. Long before people use a technology such as a bridge, engineers have spent a lot of time designing it to make sure it works well and is safe. Working together. Engineers often work together in groups to design technologies. Working in groups lets engineers share different ideas. Engineers communicate their ideas to the people they work with and other people outside of the group. To communicate means to write, speak, or draw to share information. What is a model? One way engineers communicate their ideas to others is by making models. A model is a representation of a real object. A model can show how different parts of an object work together. A model can also show how something looks. Map models. This map is a model of a garden. It gives us information about where different fruits and vegetables are planted. The map is a model because it helps us understand more about how the real garden looks. Alike but different. Models are not exactly like the things they represent. For example, some models may not have all of the same parts or features as the real thing. A toy car is a model of a real car. It has 4 tires and can move forward and backward, but it is much smaller and cannot move as fast as a real car. Different parts. Models can be used to show things that are very large and have many different parts, such as a wind turbine. Building a real wind turbine would take a lot of time and cost a lot of money. A model turbine takes less time to build and shows how the different parts fit and work together. Diagrams and blueprints. Some models are drawn on paper or made using a computer. A diagram is a drawing that shows the parts of an object and how it works. A diagram has labels. Labels are words that name or describe the different parts and help others understand the model better. Blueprints. A blueprint is another kind of model that engineers use to show their design ideas to others. Blueprints are drawings that show the different parts of a building. For example, a blueprint for a school shows where the classrooms will be built. Engineers can draw blueprints on paper or using a computer. Different forms. Models have different forms. For example, a map of the world and a globe are both models of Earth. Maps are flat or two-dimensional models. They show length and width. A globe is a solid object. It is three-dimensional. 3D models. Three-dimensional models have length, width, and height. You can hold a three-dimensional model and look at it from above, below, and all sides. These kinds of models are also called 3D models. How models are helpful. Models are helpful in many ways. Engineers make models to explain or help people understand their ideas for solving problems. People can review the model and give feedback or suggestions to the engineer to help make the design idea better. Engineers do not make or build the things they design. The engineer can use their model to explain to the people who are building it how to build it properly. Engineers may visit the site where it is being built to make sure it is done correctly and answer any questions. Engineers also build models to test their design ideas. Testing models helps engineers know if their ideas will work and are safe. They can also find out what changes they need to make to the model to make it better. Earthquake. Earthquakes cause the ground to shake. They happen in many areas of the world. Engineers try to design houses that will receive the least amount of damage from shaking. Models of houses are tested on special tables called shake tables to see which designs work the best. Before making a model, engineers first make a plan. A good plan is important because it helps the engineer figure out how to make their model. Materials are an important part when planning a model. Materials are what objects are made of. Different materials have different properties. Properties describe how something looks, feels, or acts. Choosing the best material is an important part of building models. Some materials are better than others for making certain things. Would you wear rain boots made of cardboard? Of course not. Cardboard would let in water and make your feet wet. Rubber is a better material. Rubber is waterproof. It does not let water pass through. So this is exactly what we've been talking about, is these engineering ideas in science and how we design things. Flying high. In 1903, the Wright brothers made history when they became the first people to fly in an airplane. They spent more than 4 years building and testing thousands of different models. So in this nonfiction story, we talked a lot about what engineers do and how they design. So one of the things that we're going to think about, in addition to our reading and our nonfiction, is to think about what we have in this story that connects to what we've been practicing in science. So remember, in science, we've been talking about properties of materials and especially choosing the right materials for the job. So my question to you is, at the end of this reading, what is the connection that you see to our experimentation that we've been doing? We've been looking at different materials, naming their properties, and thinking about what they're good for. How does that connect to what engineers do? Think about that as we go into Seesaw, and then you'll see some more activities to practice. Good job, everyone.